Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever and whatever you're doing in the world. I hope you're well. I hope you've had a fantastic day. I hope everything's going well for you and yours, and everything's joyous in your world, as weird as this world is. Very weird indeed. So, what have we got for you today? What have we got? This is the thing, isn't it? Before I start, I suppose I better talk a little bit because it gives people, because it's a live stream, you see. And it gives people a chance who like to interact, because I'm live Monday to Thursday, right, for any loonies who like loonies like me. So you can feel welcome and at home knowing you're not the only loony around. I'm live Monday to Thursday from 7 o'clock UK time for about an hour. And yes, today is the election day in Wakefield. I'm not want to talk about it. I spoke about it yesterday in my video. If you haven't seen that, check that out. It's quite interesting, quite funny, I thought. It made me laugh anyway. This is my hobby. I like to live stream. For those of you that have never seen one of my live streams before or any of my videos, I don't really like making videos. I prefer live streaming. I prefer to just do stuff, you know. So I'm going to wait for somebody to come in the chat before I start proceedings, because it's as I'm just see, the good thing about when you're a bit of a nutter, right? If you talk to yourself and nobody's there, you are sort of confirming you're a bit mental. But when you're talking to yourself and somebody is actually listening, then you're not a nutter after all. Yeah, okay. And Too Shy has arrived, everybody. And the beautiful, wonderful, uber talented, gotta say it, Beth Gish is here. Oh yes. And hopefully many others will appear soon as well. Although if the sports ball's on, they might be watching that. I don't know, I don't watch it. I've got no connection to it at all, the sports ball, the football. I've got no connection to it at all. It doesn't resonate with me at all anymore. I'll get into that maybe another day. Hey, there's no point going on about it. I'm not interested. So what have we got for you today? Well, we've got all sorts of sort of weird news, and very weird, some of it. Not very nice, some of it either, really, but good news is no news, so they say. Let's have a look what we've got first. So we've got body found in landing gear of plane at Gatwick. Yeah, that's a bit weird. So a body has been found in the landing gear of a plane at Gatwick. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. We'll read it and see if there's any indication of what really went on. But obviously, some people don't understand how to get in a car, obviously. There's, when you're at an airport, it's different if you order a taxi. If you order a taxi and a taxi turns up and you cling on to the wheel, you obviously don't know what's going on in the world, right? And you might come from somewhere that just doesn't have taxis, perhaps. So it might not be your fault. But aeroplanes are a bit different. How do you make the mistake of not checking in with your boarding pass and then getting on the plane? I know, and I can hear you now. Saying, no, it's not, somebody's clinging on. Oh, no, anyway, we'll read it. I thought it was funny anyway. Oh well. The body of a man has been found in the landing gear of a plane which landed at Gatwick Airport from Morocco. Okay. Emergency services were called after the discovery was made in the undercarriage of the Air Arabia flight, which arrived from Tangier at about 11:45 BST on Tuesday. Now, if that was somebody, right, trying to sneak onto a plane, which it seems like that's what it is, that weren't very clever, really. That wasn't a really clever thing to do, because I don't know much about planes, hardly anything at all, apart from you get on them and they go somewhere and they land and you get off them. But I should imagine when them wheels fold up, when it's in the air, it takes up all the space from where they've come out. So I wonder at what point, if you'd have snuck yourself into that little space and then it's took off and then the wheels started to retract. I wonder at what point you thought, this isn't a very good idea, is it? Too many laughs, Gaz. Or maybe there is enough, for all I know, there is loads of space in there, and it's just the temperature. It's just so cold. I don't know. If you know more about that stuff, let me know. I'd be interested to find out what the sort of accommodation is in the wheel compartment of an aircraft. It'd be fascinating. Anyway, we'll continue. A spokesperson for the West Sussex Airport confirmed the incident, adding that its teams have been supporting both the police and HM coroner with their inquiries. Sussex Police said it had launched an investigation into what had happened, while Air Arabia had been contacted for comment. A spokesperson for the West Sussex Airport said, a body was found and our team subsequently supported Sussex Police and the coroner. Our thoughts are with everyone affected. Nazulium is here, everybody! Oh, yes, I can't really read that out, Nazulium. It says the... yeah. I suppose I can read that bit out. The Muslim X trafficking cover-up is disgusting. Yeah, I wanted to, right, Nazulium. I wanted to actually... because Rupert Lowe has released that 219-page grooming gang scandal document, I wanted to read it on a live, but I don't think YouTube will wear it. I don't know. I think I'm probably shadow banned as it is, really. I don't think I'll get out there very much with some of the stuff, but who knows? But yeah, I shall read that at some point, and then maybe I'll give my opinions rather than read it verbatim for word, or whatever the fancy terms are. Anyway, a similar incident occurred at Gatwick in December 2022, when a man's body was found in the undercarriage of a TUI flight which had travelled from Banjul, the Gambia's capital. Okay, these people aren't so bright. You're not so bright, are you, if you're climbing up a wheel of an aeroplane? I mean, it's not bright, is it? They're not the best, are they? Really? No. The 2,760-mile journey from the Gambia to the UK usually takes about 6.5 hours on a direct flight, and a spokesperson for the Gambia's government said the man was an unidentified black male. There have been several further cases of aeroplane stowaways being found dead in the UK, including Mohammed Ayaz, 21, from Pakistan, whose body was found in the car park of a DIY store near Heathrow Airport in 2001. That must have been when the wheels came down and the poor chap fell out. Oh, God. I mean, was he already gone? Or was he gone on the way going when he hit the bottom? Oh, it's not a good idea, is it? It's not a good idea. Somebody ought to tell. They should put signs up round airports all over, right? They should, because obviously they need them at this point. 4 years earlier, another stowaway fell from a Heathrow-bound plane onto a nearby gasworks. Right, likes and share. Jake Hudson is here, everybody. Good to see you, Jake. Where you been, my friend? It's good to see you. Thank you for the like and the share. That's very kind. People are dropping out of aeroplanes. It's a good job they don't land on you, isn't it? I mean, imagine. I mean, do we all wonder how we're going to shuffle off this mortal coil? I do from time to time. I don't dwell on it because obviously it's going to happen. But from now and again, I'll sort of go, I wonder, because you're not going to know, are you? You're not going to know. But a bit of a lame way. I always used to worry, right, when I was younger. I thought, one way I don't want to perish is choking to death on a fishbone. Too many laughs, Gaz. I know, but it wouldn't be funny, would it? I thought that. What a humiliating way to die, by choking on a fishbone. Oh, it put me off eating fish for years, and yeah, it still does worry me a bit. But the worst way then would be if some person from another country, let's just say, finds herself falling out the an aeroplane because they've tucked into the wheels and lands on you. Now that is a ridiculous way to go. And I suppose if this is carrying on, it could happen to anybody, couldn't it? It could happen to anybody. Anyway, that was that. Now this is quite interesting, and this is quite disturbing. It's not interesting actually, it's just disturbing. This is disturbing, very, in my opinion. Have a look at this. Man arrested after boy injured in zoo crocodile enclosure. Yeah, not good. What is going on? What is going on? Right, first of all, man arrested. Okay, so it's not a woman then, right? What sort of man is it, and what are they being arrested for after a boy was injured in the zoo crocodile enclosure? Well, let's read on and find out. A man has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder after a 3-year-old boy was left with critical injuries after ending up in a crocodile enclosure. Right, let's just pick a little bit out of that, because it's not really reading as it should, is it? To be fair, but this is the BBC, so it's not really reading as it should. A man has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. Well, if you're going to be arrested for something like that, after a 3-year boy was left with critical injuries after ending up in a crocodile, that sounds to me like a man has potentially, allegedly, maybe picked up a 3-year-old child and threw him to the crocodiles. That sounds, I mean, I'm not sure if that's what happened, because this, at the moment, the article isn't really explaining it. But why would a man, what sort of man would do such a thing? What sort of man? Like, if it would have said, it's not nothing to do with a choir in Wales, perhaps. That is that type of man that would find himself in a choir, perhaps. Maybe that's what'll come out later on. Cambridgeshire Police said it was called to Johnson's Zoo in Oldhurst near Huntingdon at 13:24. The boy was taken to Adam Brooks Hospital with serious injuries and is in a stable condition, the force said. A 30-year-old man from Norfolk. Is it like a Norfolk choir man? That sort of man. Is that what we're talking about? Somebody, a man who's 30, who's from Norfolk, and perhaps is in the choir, in a Norfolk choir, perhaps. Now, me personally, I would say that's exactly the sort of man that would do such a thing. But we don't know just yet. But it's horrific. It is horrific. The 30-year-old man from Norfolk has been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder, and officers added that they do not believe the man and child were known to each other. So a stranger, allegedly a stranger, is at the zoo where there's crocodiles, an enclosure, and then he's somehow managed to interact with a 3-year-old child. And, well, they're saying he's going to be done for attempted murder. So it sounds like to me it's through him. What sort of world are we living in when these things are happening? I mean, is it going to be another one of them? Oh, I've got mental issues situations. The force said it was investigating whether the child was attacked by the animals. What they're No, I don't think the animals. I don't know. No, I hope not. Detective Inspector Verity McCann from Cambridgeshire Police said, "At this stage, We are speaking to people who were at the zoo at the time of this distressing incident to understand more about the circumstances. I can't even begin to imagine being at a zoo and something like that happens. I can't even begin to get my head round it, to be honest. We do not believe the man arrested and the child are known to each other. Officers are supporting the boy's family at a hospital, and our thoughts remain with them. I can't even imagine how traumatised you'd have to be. I mean, you could say, well, where are the parents at? But it's, you're at a zoo. You know what I mean? You've got a little 3-year-old running around. They run around. You're there. It's fine. You don't really expect somebody, allegedly, maybe, possibly, potentially, to pick up your 3-year-old and throw it into the crocodile pit, do you? It's the last thing you'd expect when you went on a day out to the zoo, to be honest. I mean, you hear of these people, don't you? They go to like a lion enclosure where the lion, you're in your car and the lions are wandering around or just laying there. And you hear about these people, right, who get out of their car in front of their kids to go and pet the lions. And they wonder why they end up in front of their family. Where do these people, how? How do people live long enough to be able to drive a vehicle and not have the self-awareness that you should never approach a lion or a tiger while it's laying down in the open to pet it? Now, I know there are these people on these programs that you do see them, like the Lion King, but that's a different thing altogether, isn't it? Doesn't mean you can do it, does it? I wouldn't go up and stroke a stranger's dog. You know what I mean? No, just no. No, it's just not. It's just not necessary, is it? It's just not. Anyway, these people are out there. Huntingdon MP Ben Obsejecti. What sort of name's that?
What?
I know. Ben Obsejecti. Okay. Wrote on social media that his thoughts were with the young victim and his family during this hugely traumatic and difficult time, and urged people to refrain from speculation online. See, that's what you've all got to do, you see. I should imagine you've all got in your head the image of the man, but you must refrain from speculation. Well, personally, I hope I'm wrong with what's in my head. I hope I am wrong, because it would be yet another tragic thing that's happened. Marie Walker is here, everybody. Hello, Marie Walker. Good to see you. I mean, I don't want it to be like this. Don't get me wrong. I don't want it to be like this. I don't want certain individuals that just spring to mind straight away when certain things happen. But like I know, right, that when it's a man... Now, if that was a white Englishman, I think you'd know within about 10 minutes. Exactly. Because I'm pretty confident that it would say, a white Englishman from Nottingham. Is it Nottingham? Where did it come from? Where did the 30-year-old come from? Norfolk. A white Englishman from Norfolk, right? That's what it'd say. Has been arrested for attempted murder. But when it says a man, we all suddenly come to our own conclusion. And for good reason, in my opinion. For very good reason indeed. Refrain from speculation online. Well, I am online, and I'm not speculating. I'm pretty confident, but I haven't said anything. I'm pretty confident that it was a man who was in the choir in Norfolk. That's what I'm pretty confident at this point. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he wasn't in the choir at all. And then we can all rest assured that that was a mistake. But we will keep up to date with this as time goes by. If they ever release any information, like I say, if it was a white Englishman, I think we'd already know, wouldn't we? I'm pretty confident we would. Jacqueline Watt is here, everybody. Good to see you, Jacqueline. I hope these aren't too disturbing for you. This is just another day in the mad world that is the UK. He said he was liaising with senior officers at Gold Command who are treating this as a critical incident. Well, you'd expect nothing less, would you? Bit more information about the man would be appreciated. Yes, Jacqueline, pray the child's going to be okay. I do, please God, allow the child to be okay. Amen. Yes, definitely. Because that's, I mean, if the injuries can be overcome, a 3-year-old would probably never have any recollection, really. You know, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. Johnson Zoo's website said it houses over 100 fascinating animals, including crocodiles, African lions, and a Bengal tiger. A spokesperson for the East of England Ambulance Service said an ambulance, a rapid response vehicle, an ambulance officer vehicle, and Magpass air ambulance attended the scene. A child was transported by road to hospital for further care, they added. A Magpass air ambulance spokesperson said a critical care team attended the incident at 13:42, treated one patient at the scene before taking them to hospital. It's very bad. It's not good. But I don't like the fact that there's no description of the man at this point. But we'll see going forward if the man will actually be what potentially we all think the man is. What have we got for you next? This one's interesting. I was going to dig deeper into this next one, but I don't think I've got time to do it. I might have. We might have to have a little look into it. So what do we got next for you? This. I thought this was interesting. Crime boss Steven Lyons loses bid to block extradition to Spain. So, who is the crime boss Steven Lyons? I've never heard of him. So let's have a little look. Steven Lyons, one of Scotland's leading gangland figures, has lost his bid to block extradition from the Netherlands to Spain. Okay. Lyons was arrested in Bali in March under a European warrant issued by Spain's Guardia Civil. It must have been, I don't know what he's been up to over in Spain. When I lived in Spain, it was a great place to live. But there was a few things over there with the gangsters. Pretty much so, on the whole, to be perfectly honest, because I lived over there for many years in the Costa del Sol, which was known before as the Costa del Crime. Because once upon a time, if you was like a bank robber, you could, and you got all your money, and you could leg it to Spain, and you'd never be. They wouldn't send you back to the UK. It wouldn't happen. So it was called the Costa del Crime because all these criminals, where crime don't pay. Remember that? Crime doesn't pay. Well, there was an awful lot of them, allegedly, that lived in the Costa del Sol, and they lived really well. And they couldn't be sent back to the UK to answer for their crimes or alleged crimes. But yeah, so this guy was in Bali. Well, how did he end up in Bali and going from Bali to be extradited to... Oh, let's have a look. He was deported to the Netherlands because the Spanish government does not have an extradition agreement with Indonesia. So he was in Indonesia, and so obviously, well, allegedly, he's been up to no good in Spain, So the Spanish authorities are after the guy, right? And then he's gone off to, where has he gone? Bali. And there's no extradition between Bali and Spain. Well, you think, happy days. He's done his things. He's made a lot of money, potentially, and he's off in Bali, living the life. But somehow, he's not in Bali anymore. But there's no extradition between Spain and Bali. So how did they manage that then? The 46-year-old opposed extradition, but a court in Amsterdam has ruled he must face charges related to drug trafficking, money laundering, and violent crime in Spain. Lyons, who was not present in court, has no possibility of an appeal as he's expected to be extradited shortly. That'll be an interesting case to keep abreast of, won't it, as his trial goes forward. The court ruling stated that judges had found no reason to deny the request to hand over Lyons to the Spanish authorities. So, right, hang on. Have I missed something here? Right. He was deported to the Netherlands because the Spanish government does not have extradition agreement. So why did Indonesia... I don't understand this. Why did they extradite him to the Netherlands then? Okay, so the Netherlands has an extradition treaty with Spain. Right? But why did Bali... Why didn't they... Was he Scotland? So why didn't they extradite him to Scotland? Why did they extradite him to the Netherlands? It doesn't explain this. Why is that? The court ruling stated that that judges had found no reason to deny the request to hand over Lyons to the Spanish authorities. So that'd be the judges in the Netherlands. But what was the Bali government doing extraditing him to the Netherlands? Surely he must have had some... I don't know how this all works, but surely if you've committed a crime in Spain, allegedly, and you go to Bali, and the Spanish can't extradite you back to Spain because you're in Bali and there's no extradition, but they can extradite you to the Netherlands. Under what term? How? For why? But then the Netherlands is just going to extradite you then to Spain. But why did the Bali government extradite him to the Netherlands? I don't know. It's a bit weird. Sounds a bit weird to me. It dismissed defence claims that the original warrant had not been issued directly or physically signed by a court in Malaga. The court also found there was no evidence of irregularities with the investigation or that Lyons would not face a fair trial. The ruling stated, between EU member states there is a principle of mutual trust. The court does not have information showing a general risk that suspects in criminal proceedings in Spain will not receive a fair trial. That criminal proceedings in Spain will not receive a fair trial. How did he get extradited to the Netherlands from Bali? I don't understand that bit. Police in Spain previously said they had dismantled a criminal drugs gang led by members of the Lyons family and wanted Steven Lyons to stand trial under Spanish jurisdiction. Officers in Scotland and Spain carried out a series of simultaneous raids in March following a years-long investigation into serious organised crime. Coordinated with the... Well, how did he get out of Spain? I don't know. Coordinated with the UK's National Crime Agency, it targeted alleged members of the Lyons Scotland's dominant crime group and resulted in 14 arrests across 4 countries. Lyons himself was arrested in Bali by local officers on behalf of Spain's Guardia Civil. So there's no extradition from Bali to Spain, but the Spanish authorities have said to the Bali government, we want you to arrest this guy for us. So they did. Okay. So I'm not saying it shouldn't. Look, I know if he is guilty of all these things that he's supposed to have done, obviously, he's guilty of these things. It's just confusing to me how they've worked it round to how they suit themselves to get what the result that they want. It's a bit confusing to me, to say the least. Lyons himself was arrested in Bali by local officers. Yeah, all right, okay, shut up. I know, I've read that bit. Electronic devices, large amounts of cash, company documents, high-end watches, and cryptocurrency wallets were said to have been seized as part of the investigation. A statement in April by the Civil Guard in Spain, you don't mess about with them. You don't mess about with them, let me assure you. Said that Lyons' gang had developed a criminal network in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia, using a complex money laundering network based on shell companies and international financial transactions, managing millions of euros derived from drug trafficking. It added that the group operated across several countries, including Spain, the United Arab Emirates, and Turkey, and is one of the most significant players in contemporary European organised crime. It said that Lyons' operation involved 18 raids, mostly on the Costa del Sol and Barcelona. This will be. I wonder if there'll be a documentary about this family or these people, if they're, these alleged criminals. It sounds fascinating. I can only imagine the lifestyle they must have been leading. Do you know what I mean? Like proper, absolutely proper. Who is Steven Lyons? Steven Lyons is the head of the Lyons Group, which has been involved in a feud with the rival Daniel Group in Scotland for more than 20 years. In 2006, he survived a shooting at a garage in Lamb Hill in the north of Glasgow. His cousin, Michael Lyons, died in the incident. They're not messing about, are they? They're not messing about, these lot. Lyons later moved to Spain before settling in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, where he has ties to the Dubai-based Kiahan crime group. His brother, Eddie Lyons Jr., and associate Ross Monaghan, were shot dead in a beachfront bar in Fuengirola. When was that? We'll have to have a look at that in a sec. I know Fuengirola really well. All down there. Michael Riley, 44, from Liverpool, has been accused by Spanish police of the murders. He had challenged an extradition bid, but the Crown Prosecution Service confirmed in October that he had given his consent to be taken to Spain to face prosecution. In the days after the double shooting, a Spanish National Police detective said the suspect was a member of the Daniel gang. However, Police Scotland had insisted there is nothing to suggest the murders in Spain are linked to the ongoing gang war or that it was planned in Scotland. Right, let's have a look at this Fuengirola thing. This is who's that? Gun get stuffed. Gun get stuffed. Is it Gun get stuffed? Gun, how you doing, Gun? Good to see you back again. Yes, Gun. Good to see you back, my friend. Thank you very much. And if anybody watching, if you give it the thumbs up, and if you're not subscribing, following, if you could do that, that'd be great. But the thumbs up's a good thing. So what happened in Fuengirola? I used to live there. That's why I'm fascinated with this. You know what I mean? That would have been a freaky thing to see, wouldn't it? 2 Scots shot dead in Spain had criminal gang links. I don't remember any of this on the news, but I don't really watch the news. 2 Scottish men with links to the Glasgow-based criminal gang have been shot dead at a bar in Spain. Police Scotland understands they are Eddie Lyons and Jr. and Ross Monaghan, who were previously acquitted. Do you want me to tell you a quick story about when I lived in Spain? A quick one, yeah? There was a guy, this is absolutely true, right? He must have been a gangster, this guy. He was from Ireland, right? And he must have been flying about all over, pretty much like these international criminals do, you know what I mean? And this Irish guy, he'd been in the Costa del Sol, Marbella, all that, doing all what he's doing, living the life, doing the deals, all the rest of it. He was up to it all, right? Living it high life, because that's the way they go, you know. And he got nicked because when he went to fly out of Spain, when he went through the metal detector, he'd handed in his luggage at to go into the cargo. And then he went to when he went to the metal detector where you put your hand luggage and you take your belt off and all that, yeah. Well, he went there, didn't he? And I don't know how he managed to do this, but this is absolutely true. When he walked through the little metal detector, it went off. And his heart must have sank when the metal detector went off. And the reason his heart must have sank at that moment is because he still had a pistol in a holster under his garments, whatever he was wearing. He forgot. He must have been floating about all down the Costa del Sol and Marbella every day, proper tooled up with a shooter. But when he went to leave, he must have been so accustomed to walking around with it on him all the time that he forgot to take it off when he went through the thing. Can you imagine can you imagine if that was you? How you'd be like, oh no. Why did I leave? Oh my God. All the ding, ding, ding. Yeah, we've got to search you, mate. And you're like, oh, because all in them airports in Malaga, they're all tooled up. All the security there, they're all tooled up. It's all on display, you know. So they must have drew them out. Oh, that must have been a sight to see. That must have been a sight to see. But that's absolutely true. When I lived there, that happened. It was mad. There was another one. People used to... another one that happened was people used to take... they'd be up to no good, right? And they'd rent a car. And back in the day, I don't know if it's the same now, but back in the day when I was there, you could rent a car, you could drive it into the airport, you'd park your car in the airport car park, get a ticket, and you go on a flight, and away you went. That was it. And when you would come back, if you came back, you'd then put your ticket. When I used to live there, I'd say like I was going back to the UK for whatever reason, you know, yeah. So I'd go to Malaga, and I'd get dropped off. Or, well, actually, sometimes. No, I would. Yeah, I used to get dropped off. If there was a couple of us going, you'd leave your car in the airport. If it was just for a few days, you'd leave your car there, you'd fly off, you'd come back, and then you'd pay your ticket so you can get out the barrier. Anyway, when we used to do that, you'd see cars that were covered in dust. I mean, absolutely covered in dust. Because they were just left. People had gone, and I don't know if they'd, something had happened to them, they just couldn't come back, or if it was a hire car and they just left it there, or they bought an old car and just left it there. I don't know. But there was one occasion where somebody went by one of these cars and it stank. And it was covered in dust, but it stank, right? It really stank. Anyway, they called the police. And you can imagine, when they opened the boot, they found somebody dismembered in a suitcase in the boot. Somebody had done something up to no good, dismembered somebody, put them in a suitcase, put them in the boot of a car, drove to Malaga Airport, parked the car in the car park, got their ticket, went to the airport and flew away. That's a true story. Come on, peeps. This is a chat, isn't it? Yeah, Gun. Tell them, Gun. Maybe they're just too engrossed in my little stories. My little sideline stories. Maybe that's what it is, Gun. Jacqueline. Jacqueline, what is here, everybody? I don't know. I think I've already said hello to Jacqueline, haven't I? I don't know. I lose track. Getting old. Shut up. Anyway, so what were these guys then? They both died when a masked gunman opened fire at Monaghan's bar in Fengarola in Andalusia on Saturday evening. When was this? 1st of June 2025. Local media reported the attack took place just after 11 o'clock when a car pulled up outside the crowded bar. The gunman then fled in the same vehicle. Ross Monaghan was previously linked to a high-end profile killing of one of Glasgow's most feared gangland figures, Kevin Gerbil Carroll. Carroll, an enforcer for the Daniel crime family, was shot 13 times as he sat in a car outside a supermarket in Rob Royston, Glasgow in 2010. Monaghan was accused of the murder and of disposing of evidence after the killing, but was later acquitted due to lack of evidence. Videos circulating on social media show police at the scene of the attack. Yeah, I think that's on the front in Fengarola, that place. You have. I have. He was himself shot in the shoulder as he dropped off his daughter at a primary school in Glasgow. That's what I mean. I could never be bothered with all that. I come from a right rough background, yeah? And I know, or I've known, I should say, for legal reasons, many a drug dealer. Right? Big time boys and all that. And proper gangsters. Some of them are dead now. I don't know if some of them are still in jail or not. And others they made themselves millionaires in the end, to be honest. But I never fancied it. Because it's just too fraught with all that. I can't be arsed. And it was too obvious from my background, even through my schooling. They always had looked at me like I was going to be some sort of villain. And I'm just not. I'm not a villain. Just not interested. I'm not interested in it. I'm not saying I haven't done things. Things had to be done when you grow up from a place that I grew up in. Things had to be done. It was just the way of the world. But I never wanted to. I never wanted to get involved in the drugs thing at all. Never. I knew loads of people. I was well trusted within that community. Nobody batted an eyelid because they knew who I was. But it's not my sort of gig. I didn't, because this is how it ends up. You know what I mean? It's just silly. Gunn says, anyone know how it's going in Wakefield? No, not just at the moment. Well, I'll be watching that at 10 o'clock though, Gunn. You can be assured of that. I'm fascinated. I'll tell you, that could be absolutely earth shattering, couldn't it? Couldn't it? I really hope it is. And I'll tell you what'll be funny, Gunn, right? What'll be really funny is if say, for example, Burnham gets in, right, which is potentially where it's going from if you listen to all the nonsense. But imagine if just behind him is Restore, and then it's Reform that have nicked the vote off of Restore. Now, that would be too many laughs. Oh no, don't worry, Jacqueline. I'm not going to incriminate myself. I have done nothing wrong. I just know people. You know what I mean? Not so much now. Like I say, a lot of these lads are dead now. You know what I mean? And I have lived abroad. I've lived in the Costa del Sol for many years. I've known many people. I've met many a person in my life. I was a bouncer for many years. I've done personal security for many years. I've done all sorts of things. But yeah, I've done things. That's what I'm saying. Things. Right? It's simple. Yeah, I'm not incriminating myself. I am an upstanding member of the community. I am a businessman, don't you know? Oh, yes. Not a multi-millionaire. Well, not even a millionaire yet. That's annoying. That's annoying, isn't it? I know, but I'm still working on it. I'm not giving up. Never going to give up. Get rich or die trying. That's what they say, isn't it? I'm going to keep trying. Anyway, so where are we going? Rivalries, right. Police Scotland said it was rivalries between the Lyons and the Daniel crime families, resulting in numerous violent attacks, have been ongoing for more than 20 years. But BBC journalist Guy Hedgecoe, based in Madrid, said there had been a number of other shootings in the Costa del Sol area in recent weeks, several of which were believed to be connected with drug crime. Well, they are. It's massive. It's massive down there, you know what I mean? Monaghan's is located on the seafront, yeah, and it's a popular bar with tourists and expats. There was another one. When I was there was a drive-by shooting in Marbella into a hair salon, and it killed somebody just having their hair done. And the thing, how it used to be, I don't know if it's the same now down in the Costa del Sol, but when I lived there, it was the old Bill really didn't care about gangsters killing each other, and I'll be honest, they just didn't care. They really didn't, in my opinion. They didn't care because that was just between them. They were just doing it. They weren't bothered. But the minute somebody, a bystander, a tourist, one of their own, got injured or killed, it was on top then. Because the gangsters that I met in the Costa del Sol, and I did meet some, no joke, they wanted it all. They actually said this to me. They want it all quiet. They don't want anybody. So, like, you get somebody who thinks he's Jack the Biscuit and he comes over from England and he's doing a few deals over there and he's coming back and forward and making a few quid, but getting loud. You know what I mean? He's loud. He's getting boisterous. He's getting a bit busy. The lads that were there that were all sorted, but they're all quiet, all under the radar, nice and quiet. They would absolutely shut that person up because they don't want the authorities getting involved with it all. And if somebody's getting a bit busy and causing disturbances, like on the fronts, going in the bars, giving it the large one, all that, causing havoc, don't last very long. You end up in one of them boots, in one of them suitcases. Oh my God, too many laughs. Nazulium says, I carry a Hellcat Pro 9mm with me wherever I go. You're in Americano land, you're allowed to do that. I am not allowed to carry anything because I'm in the UK and we are absolutely stuffed. Anyway, the Foreign Office said it had not been approached for any consular assistance, but that its staff stood ready to assist any British nationals if required. Oh, the bar had been screening the UEFA Champions League final of the evening of the attack. That would have been a scary old night, wouldn't it? That would have been a freaky old night, being in there when that happened. Whew. Yes, but a lot of it goes on down there. A lot of stuff goes on everywhere. But it is. I did see there was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff. There was a. You know these people that interfere with children, them lot. There was an alleged one of them, right? And this was in the paper, right? This is no joke. This was in the paper. It said the police had found one of them people, with the kids, begins with P. They'd found one of them tied to a chair, right? And had been, I think it was, if I remember rightly, it was tied. Johnny Fan might remember this. He's not on here. He's not in here tonight in the chat, but because he lived there when I lived there, and we knew each other. But he might remember this because it was in the paper. It was quite funny. We was all laughing about it. It was like, this is brilliant. So one of them lot was found tied to a chair. And I don't know if it was shot in the head, but it was a suicide. The authorities said it was a suicide. Too many laughs? Honestly, they weren't, when I was there, they just weren't bothered about things like that. It was like, he threw himself off a mountain. You know what I mean? And nobody else was bothered. We were all like, oh, well, it's one of them, isn't it? Talking about one of them, we can get into a bit of that now, actually. So the next one I've got for you, don't worry, this has a better ending, right? It sounds a bit grim to begin with, but it has a better ending. Well, it depends on your point of view. From my point of view, it was a much better ending in the end, right? But anyway, so let's have a look at this one. It's quite horrific. Man guilty of murdering partner's 2-year-old daughter. So this was quite distressing when this happened. So a mother and her boyfriend have been convicted over the death of a happy, busy and good little 2-year-old girl. Kyle Bevan, aged 31, fatally injured Lola James by repeatedly hitting her in a savage attack that left his victim limp and unresponsive in the early hours of Friday, the 17th of July, 2020. But instead of raising the alarm, he searched for advice on how to rouse an unconscious child, as well as taking photos and videos of the mortally injured girl, which he sent to his mother while his partner, Sinead James, slept. It was an hour before the alarm was raised and help was sent to the dirty and cluttered home in Princess Royal Way in Haverfordwest. Lola was taken to Witbush Hospital by ambulance before being transferred to University Hospital of Wales in Cardiff, where she sadly died as a result of her injuries on the 21st of July 2020. I know, it's horrendous. I said, bear with it. The trial heard... Oh, no. Bevan has now been convicted of her murder following a 3-week trial at Swansea Crown Court, while her mother, aged 30, has been convicted of causing or allowing the death of a child. How did that happen? How did she get nicked when she was in bed, asleep? Unless it's... I don't understand that either. The trial heard by High Court Judge Mr. Justice Griffiths was told that on the night of the 16th of July, it is believed Lola was put to bed by Bevan and she had no serious injury at this stage. But by 6:32 a.m, Bevan was busy searching the internet for information about babies sustaining a head impact and loss of consciousness before taking images and footage of her bruised body. Sick bastard. Prosecutor Caroline Rees, KC, said that during the early hours of the morning, Lola had sustained a catastrophic head injury and that Kyle Bevan was responsible for inflicting it. It was not until 7:28 a.m, nearly an hour after the internet searches, that Bevan asked his mother to call an ambulance, despite Lola being unconscious and clearly in need of urgent medical treatment. The court also heard Lola was found to have 101 external injuries, including bruises and grazes, all over her little body. The prosecutor said that examination of the child's eyes showed serious and extensive damage to both retinas, while the scan showed catastrophic and fatal brain injuries. She said Lola was the victim of what must have been a brutal, frenzied and violent attack at the hands of somebody she should have been able to trust. There's a lot of this going on, isn't there? It's too... please hit the thumbs up. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of this going on. It's too much of this going on, especially with the Epstein lot. Who's in the Epstein files, mate? Everyone! Yeah, damn straight. You know what I mean? This is the tip of the iceberg, this stuff. This is the tip of the iceberg. What's going on. When you look at all the grooming gang stuff, when you look at all the fucking Epstein lot, you know what I mean? It's massive. This child exploitation stuff's massive, massive. How big is it, mate? How big is it? How big is it? How big is it?
It's weird.
Oh, you're letting me down. Don't let me down.
Houston, we have a problem.
We are massive, massive.
I'm not saying, oh, Rupert, that's down. That didn't work out well, did it? That was a badly timed thing. That didn't sort of work out the way I meant. I weren't making any allegations there against Rupert Lowe. Definitely not. No, that was just a mistake by me, pushing the wrong buttons. Anyway, the medical expert, somebody should have been able to trust. Yeah. 3 medical experts were called to give evidence at the trial, and they were all in agreement that the level of injuries Lola had sustained. Gaz, you need to get people to take part more. You are, Gun. You are. I can only react to you lot if you react. It will happen in time. This is a fledgling channel, Gun. But with your support and you coming in and you thumbsing it up and giving it a little comment, it helps. You know what I mean? We'll find ours. It all takes time. All these things take time, but eventually, you know, it's good. If you look, mate, I'm here for you. For you, my friend, right? If you want to engage, and I'll engage back. And that's, you got to remember that, Gun, as well, right? So if it was like 1,000 people in here all chatting, I wouldn't be able to keep up with it anyway. I wouldn't. They'd have to pay money on one of them things so I could read the ones who paid money. So this way, you get all the attention that I can give you. And it's quite good. Ask them to comment. Comment! Come on! Me and Gun want you to comment. They're probably in trauma for what the stories, you see. It's the stories. Ask them, why aren't you commenting? Why aren't you commenting? Right? You got nothing to say. But anyway, I'll continue. One of them, anyway, so that was horrendous, right? That goes on and on and on. It was horrendous, right, what that geezer did. But like I said, ultimately, so what happened in the end? So he went to jail, didn't he? Ask him, hello. Yeah, look, Jacqueline, hello. Oh, dear. So, his name was Kyle Bevan. So what happened next then, right? Well, this just happened. Murdered child killer Kyle Bevan was left tucked up in bed after fatal Wakefield Prison attack. Yes, well, dearie me, what went on there then? So, murdered child killer Kyle Bevan was left tucked up in bed after fatal Wakefield Prison attack. And so here we go. His killers were seen leaving his cell in a satisfied, job done mood. 3 prisoners have been found guilty of murdering a child killer who was stabbed to death in his cell and left tidily tucked up in his bed. Too many? No, not too many, is it? Is it too many? Do you know what I mean? It's Kyle Bevan was stabbed 25 times during an attack by convicted killers Mark Fellows, Lee Newell and David Taylor at high security HMP Wakefield in West Yorkshire. So 3 killers took offence to what he's done. And Bevan, 33, was serving a life sentence with a minimum tariff of 28 years for murdering his partner's 2-year-old daughter, Lola James, in Havenford West, Pembrokeshire, in 2020. The 3 defendants were seen on CCTV following Bevan into his cell after 5:30 p.m. on November the 4th and emerging less than 5 minutes later in a satisfied job done mood, prosecutors said. He was put to bed after the attack and was not discovered until the following morning when prison staff were tipped off by an inmate that something was wrong with Bevan. It was found he had bled to death after suffering 25 stab wounds caused by at least 2 different weapons. On Thursday, Fellows, 45, Newell, 57, and Taylor, 64, were found guilty of murdering Bevan after a jury at Leeds Crown Court deliberated for less than 3 hours. The trial heard there was a lot of tension in the prison at the time, and there had been 2 other serious attacks in the weeks leading up to Bevan's death, one in which paedophile Lost Prophet singer Ian Watkins was stabbed to death, and one in which David Minto, who murdered a 16-year-old Sasha Marsden in Blackpool in 2023, was seriously injured. They don't like him, you see. None of us do. None of us do. That's why the Epstein lot. That's why they're petrified. Because who's in the Epstein files, mate? Everyone! And there's some top brass in that lot. That's why it will never be released. Because we don't like that. Us people, we do not like that behaviour. And we take a very dim light on it. Oh, yes, indeed. Jurors heard that, unlike other jails, vulnerable prisoners were not separated from other inmates at Wakefield. Unfortunate. The regime at the time meant main prisoners such as Fellows, Newell and Taylor had to mix with, in a distorted moral hierarchy, other criminals that were beneath them, such as child killers and prosecutors said. The court heard the 3 defendants had had a hostility to people who had committed offences against children, and Fellows and Newell had expressed a desire to be transferred away from Wakefield. In its closing speech during the trial, prosecutor Jason Pitter, KC, said Newell, who is serving a whole life order, had previously strangled a prisoner who murdered a child and left him in his bed, telling jurors there was a chilling similarity to that and the circumstances of Kyle Bevan's death. Fellows, known as the Wakefield Dexter, had previously committed 2 murders to take out people he was opposed to or did not like, and had formally applied to move from Wakefield not long before Bevan's killing because of his dissatisfaction with the regime there. Taylor had recently been transferred to Wakefield in relation to the murder of an associate, to which he pled guilty, and the attempted murder of a police officer while he was in custody. The court heard Taylor boasted about his ability to make makeshift weapons out of all sorts, and after Bevan's death, some were found in a bottle of chili sauce in his cell, although they could not be matched to the fatal attack. Bevan kept himself to himself and would mainly stay in his cell, often asking to be locked inside, jurors were told. On the day of his death, he was seen on CCTV walking into his cell, followed by the 3 defendants, who were just seconds behind. Taylor could be seen taking something from his waistband as he went in. Summing up the case, the judge, Mrs. Justice McGowan, said, "We do not know who did what in the cell. At least one person must have initiated the fatal injuries. At least 2 weapons were used. It seems likely Bevan was held by his arms. He was stabbed to either side of his neck and repeatedly to the front of his body." She told jurors, "You have to be sure that all 3 defendants had at least been part of the group, even if it was only helping or encouraging in some way, even if it's only by blocking the door or acting as a lookout." Yes. The court heard the 3 defendants left the cell less than 5 minutes after, as if nothing had happened. They could be seen shaking hands and apparently congratulating each other. Newell had had an injury to his hand, while Fellows could be seen rolling up his tracksuit bottoms after realising they had blood on them, and later disposing of them. Jurors heard one weapon made from a folded piece of metal from the back of a television was thrown from Bevan's cell and found on the ground outside. It had Bevan's blood on it. The weapon which caused the fatal injuries has never been found. The trial heard that as Taylor was being transferred out of Wakefield, he was heard to shout to in the vicinity of Newell, "Nice working with you and the Iceman," a nickname for Fellows. One of the defendants answered questions in their police interviews. None of the defendants answered questions in their police interviews or gave evidence during the trial. Well, I don't suppose they had a lot to say. If they're in there for life sentences, I mean, and they got grievances because people have done diabolical things to children, this is what's going to happen, isn't it? Before sending the jurors out to consider the verdicts, Mrs. Justice McGowan said, "This case is about the death of Kyle Bevan. It is not about whether mixing vulnerable prisoners and main prisoners is a good way to run a prison. It is not about whether these defendants or anyone else has a view about how people who commit offences against children should be punished." I think Restore have got a good idea how that's going to be dealt with. Oh yes, Restore. I'm looking forward to tonight. I hope there's a fucking earthquake, I do. It's not about whether these defendants or anyone else has a view about how... Oh, yeah. Nobody has the right to kill anyone else because they disapprove of what they have done or because they hate them. Unless the state brings it in under a certain political movement and they say enough is enough. We have DNA. We have all these things. We can absolutely say with some absolute certainty in many cases that person did this diabolical thing and must be finished. A long drop with a short stop. How much does the rope cost? Doesn't cost very much. How much does cost keeping one of these beasts in a prison cell cost the taxpayer? Far too much. Now, the Labour Party, in my opinion, will never ever do anything like that. They'd rather all us taxpayers pay for the keep of these animals. What, don't they? I wonder why. Have you ever... Oh, for your information, if you haven't ever seen this, I think it's still there. Search for www.labour25. It's either... I think it's .com. Labour25. Have a little read of that website. That'll give you a bit of inspiration. Right. It is fairly basic premise in a civilised society. The 3 defendants will be sentenced on Friday. Anyway, that's me. I'm done. I've overstepped my my mark with everything. Good luck to everybody. Good luck to everybody who's in the by-election in Wakefield, especially the dustbin bloke, because that's great. The dustbin guy is amazing. But yeah, more particularly to a certain young lady who's going to be there. I'll be watching that with bated breath tonight. I'm gonna get myself all comfy. I'm gonna get myself a nice bit of scran, a nice cold beer or something, and I'm gonna have a sit in and watch the results come in. And I hope it shocks this country to its foundations. I really do. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll be back Monday, 7 o'clock UK time. Hope to see some of you then. Thank you to everybody who's commented in the chat. Thank you if you followed. Thank you if you give a thumbs up. Thank you for all those things. And I'll see you all later.